Hey everyone, this is Ginger Faith with Opportunities for Real Estate Investors with my pal Gary Messeri. And we're here talking to you about some great opportunities that you have to invest in real estate for growth and cash flow for the long term. Gary and I have been talking about some great strategies today, and I'd like to have Gary kick things off for us today.
You know, it's amazing that people don't have a plan for their life, they don't have a plan for their business, and they don't have a plan for financial freedom and independence. And yet, so many people are going towards retirement without a retirement plan. And what's crazy is it really doesn't take a lot of money to get going in real estate. Actually, you can get going for nothing. I started with nothing. Okay, what it takes is the knowledge and the education, and the strategies to do it. So if you have a plan for your life and a plan for your business and a plan to be free financially, and financial freedom is not that big of a deal. Let me tell you what Robert Kiyosaki told me on my radio show. I had a radio show years ago called The Bridge on Affinity Broadcasting in the San Francisco Bay Area. It had a pretty good sized listening audience. And Robert said this when I asked him the question, what does it take to create wealth? And he said, wrong question, Gary, which is kind of embarrassing. I would have turned red if it would have been on TV. But what he said made so much sense to me. He said, Gary, financial independence is easily to attain. He says, it's nothing more than creating enough passive and residual income, which he meant was cash flow, to cover your monthly obligations. And I thought about that because we always spend money, but we never ever plan to invest, to create income and let our cash flow work for us. So with that being said, we're going to talk to you about some strategy. I'm going to ask Ginger to fill you in on what are some of the short-term strategies that you can look at to take your money right now that's sitting around in the bank, savings accounts, in CDs, sometimes, in your IRA accounts. There's $35 trillion in IRA accounts sitting around the United States. What if you could take that money, tap into it, and get 15-20% return, ROI, annual ROI, on that money being invested, even pulling it out of a credit line? So there's a lot of ways that you can tap into this real estate market on short-term basis and create some additional income. So Ginger, please share with us some of those short-term strategies and then how you did it, and then invest in rental properties. And then if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you to share about the stories that you've been sharing with me. Remember the stories, and you went through hell in your life and real estate builds you up. So take it away. Tell us what happened to you.
Yeah, well, Gary, there are short-term strategies and long-term strategies. Yeah. Eventually, you definitely want some long-term strategies. Yeah. But to get started, it's important to figure out what some of the short-term strategies are. And one of the ways that I got involved in real estate and short-term strategies would be flipping properties. And the word flipping is kind of funny, so I like to use the word redevelopment. There are a lot of people who are really sloppy with their flips, and sometimes flippers have gotten a bad name because they're people who just they paint and they put cosmetic fixers on homes without adding true intrinsic value. So a short-term strategy would be to get together with people who actually know what they're doing, some quality contractors and quality investors who understand the market and what sells, what designs sell, and how to actually invest in short-term homes and take that money and reinvest it. That's one of the things that I've been doing for many years, and Gary and I are working on a project right now that is a beautiful project in a great location. We're going to be adding over 1,500 square feet to it, but we have an amazing team of professionals and designers, and we're cross-correlating. But this eventually, we're looking at about a year out on this, which is short-term in real estate years. And we're going to be able to take that money, and then once we have a chunk of money that we've gained from this investment, we can now take this and buy a rental. So that
many rental properties.
Well, it depends on where we buy them, right? Yeah. So it depends on where we buy them. So that's one really solid short-term opportunity is renovating properties and then reselling them. And so Gary had asked for me to tell you a little bit of the stories. Well, a longer term play for me has always been rentals. I have rentals now. I've had rentals since the 90s. Love rentals. And the cool thing about them is the tenants pay for your mortgage and your expenses, and you can write off depreciation, the mortgage, you're getting cash flow every month, and the tenant is paying for your mortgage. How good is that, right? Rather than having you pay for the mortgage all the time, someone else is paying for the mortgage. And that's the situation I have right now with my rentals, and it's wonderful. That's a longer term strategy. So I've gone through dips in life. Many of us go through health challenges with our families, children, you name it. Life is definitely not a straight line from where we are to success. It's more like this,
a
roller coaster of life, right?
We're not immune.
And I've gone through several dips and rebounds. And during that time, it was the best thing to have real estate. And today, same thing. I know that no matter what happens in the market, I have these rentals that are helping to pull me through, and cash flow, and Airbnb is another short-term strategy that I'm using and deploying right now. So,
yeah, it's interesting what Ginger is saying is that, we make some money on flips. Also, we want to let people know if you don't have the time to get into real estate, like we're full-time builders, invest in companies like ours. We call it private money lending, okay, PMLs. And so you can be a private money lender and get the same protection as a bank gives you, only you're going to get higher returns. You're going to get 15. Again, I don't know anybody investing with us making under 15% ROI. On the average, they're around 20 to 22% ROI. So we have some very attractive programs for you.
Not promising anything on that, by the way. Disclaimer, Gary.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to let you know. I like the high returns, but there's always risk when you go into real estate. Right. So we always tell you, once we give you a deal analysis and give you the comparable market analysis, take it to your CPA and your attorney and really have them check it out. We're a legitimate company, but you can always get caught with a company that's not legitimate. So be careful there on that basis, right? But let's go back to real estate again. You buying real estate, we're teaching you how to raise the money through either flips or financing, being what we call a private money lender, and investing that money into real estate. Now, why is that important? Because if you have an asset that's growing in value, especially in an inflationary market like we have right now, that means your market appreciation is creating what we call equity, which is your net worth. Now, we teach you how to reduce your mortgage and pay off your mortgage using Velocity Banking as well. So that means that we help you retire your debt and teach you how to invest properly and wisely into real estate. You've got an appreciative asset, but you got one more thing. And this is where I'm going to go back to Ginger, because the cash flows that she had when she went through a 4 or 5 year period of time that life was just unbearable for her, but she had the cash flows to sustain her. And again, we all got started with no money and learned the knowledge and got ourselves educated, in real estate. Now, we spent some money learning it, but Ginger, please tell what that period of time that you went through where you just crashed and burned and you had cash flow coming in, right, that saved your neck, right? I mean, you didn't go out in the streets, you didn't turn into homeless, right? You survived because of your real estate, and you came out the other end with a higher net worth because of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, I hope you don't mind. I'm pushing her to share because it's a very sensitive story, and I know it sometimes she'll get teary-eyed with it, but please share it. People have to know that, life isn't just always roses and we make all this money. There's a learning process.
I've had 3 crash and burns, so I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
The big one.
The big one. They're all big.
Yeah, the big one you went through.
But no, they're all big. But and it's the same story 3 times. Okay, my rentals. So I'll tell you real briefly. The first one, I had a lot of apartment buildings, and that helped. Right, I went through a nasty divorce and a big life change.
Yeah.
And the rentals were there. Just all I had to do at the time was collect rent. Now my clients direct deposit the rent's right into the account, which is even better. Yeah, but at the time, it was just great, just knowing that. Actually, there was a time as I was divorcing, I was liquidating, and there was a time I had no place to live, but I had one of my rentals, and it was empty. Guess what? I moved in. So I still own the house, so I moved into one of my rentals as I was liquidating, and I kept that until I got stabilized. So that was fine.
And then the other story I want you to share with, because I think it's so important. I know it's a tough one, but Ginger was on the hook for $750,000. My friends, that's $750,000 million.
Oh, that one.
Because she got involved with a scam investor. I got involved with a scam contractor. It took me for $100,000. So we want to tell you there's some horror stories out there. That's why we're telling you that, because we want you to really be astute, smart, and investigate the companies that you're investing in. And now we're a solid company with a solid track record, and we're proud of it. But we didn't get there overnight. We had our lessons too. But Jennifer, what happened? I mean, my God, $750,000. You were in tears. Went to your minister. You were praying. I mean, it just was devastating. That's the story I want you to share.
Oh, okay, that story. Okay, well, should I tell everybody that this predator is still around taking people's money?
Well, don't tell him who he is. I
don't tell anybody who he is, but you can call me.
Yeah,
he's still around the Bay Area, and the DA is investigating him right now, and we'll see if he ends up on American Greed. But just not that long ago, he who shall remain nameless took me for quite a bit of money, and friends of mine as well.
Yeah.
And he was a real estate developer, and he didn't know what he was doing, and he didn't know his numbers, but he talked a really good game. He had supposedly really good credentials. And $750,000 later, in about a month, it took him about a month and a half to take that kind of money. I found out later. Wow. He's in the hole for millions of dollars. He owes people millions of dollars, and he's just a scam artist. So when that happened really, really quickly, not that long enough ago that I'm recovered from it, thank God, but not that long ago, and that was a devastating blow. And so how did I recover from that? A lot of prayer, a lot of support from my friends and family, and then getting back to the grindstone of working, just working for cash flow and for peace of mind. But again, I had my rentals. I mean, and I have my home, I have my rentals, and so I stayed afloat emotionally while I couldn't work as much right then, just for a time period. That was the most emotionally devastating. And now I've amped up my underwriting exponentially. I'm like a bank underwriter now in detail. Everybody I work with, I check them out. I do a background checks on everybody.
Yes, she does.
And I've checked out
even our own investors, we check them out.
I checked him out a couple of years ago. I know the dirt on Gary. Yeah, so I investigate everybody now, and I do background checks and underwriting, and I'm very, very cautious now, and wary. But I'm very confident we have a really good team now. It's
We've been together
awesome.
3 years, right?
Yeah, we have a great team. We have great contractors, phenomenal thinkers. Yeah. Yep.
One thing they want people to know about Ginger. Ginger and I spent 2 years studying. Even though I'd been 35 years into brokerage, selling real estate, partnering with builders, and subdividing 15-lot subdivisions and building new homes. I got to tell you honestly, we went through 2 years of intense studying, spent over $50,000 on our education to learn what we learned today. And that's why our projects are very, very highly profitable. And that's why our investors really, really love us. In fact, our investors often say, hey, I got some money to invest. Do you have any projects going? So we don't hardly have to chase money. Money comes looking for us. But I wanted to share that with you. So one of the things you got to be careful of is when you're really looking at where to invest your money, call other investors that have worked with these people. Because if they give you, that's a good tip. If they give you a good report, you kind of got an idea that this may be a good investor. But check out other investors And the way you can do that is go to a preliminary title report and find out who's on title with them. Because sometimes they put their investors on title and they're in ownership position. So just a tip. And then Ginger shared with you that you can, through White Pages and other,
that's one of them. That's one
other
of them.
skip trace areas that you can look them up. If you're in a deal and you got the nervies and you can't sleep at night, I want you to call us and we'll analyze that deal for you. In 15 minutes, we can tell you whether he's got the right resale value in that property. We call it ARV, after repair value. If he's got the right cost, we know our cost inside and out. I can tell you that right here. I can walk through a home and tell you what it's going to take to renovate a home within 10 minutes because we do so many of them. So we can tell you if the cost is right. We can tell you what the ROI. We can tell you what other costs, carrying costs are, financing costs, all those things. We know exactly what they are. So we can help you out with that. So keep in mind that we offer free Q&A. If you're in a situation and you can't sleep at night, please make an appointment with us. We don't charge you any money. The whole reason we're doing this is because we want to bring people into our family that want to become private money investors, and then we can scale our company up and grow and bring more deals to our investors. Our model is pretty solid. So that's why we do it. So again, anytime you want to counsel with us or just ask questions, whether you work with us or not, we're there and we'll give you the time to do that. Is that correct? Yeah, you'd be happy to do that, right? I had to chase her for 3 years to work with me. I couldn't believe it. We ran a meetup group for 3 years and she had never partnered with me until I went out and started making me all this money. Then I got her attention, right? I had to tease her.
It's just the timing has to be right?
Yeah, it has to be.
Timing has to be right.
And we trusted each other and we learned to trust each other through all of this. And that's the main thing is the trust. That's it for me this week. So what do you think?
Okay. Well, signing off, Ginger Faith from REI Fortunes with Gary Messeri.
Yes.
And stay safe with your investing, stay smart, and build your wealth.
And you can find us at our website at reifortunes.com. reifortunes.com. We're easy to find. Have a good week, man. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Ciao.